What happens when a strict officer meets a homeless veteran with a heartbreaking story? This unexpected encounter will change both their lives forever. Today, we're diving into a powerful tale of compassion, second chances, and the life-changing impact of understanding someone's struggles. It's a story about seeing beyond appearances, breaking down assumptions, and offering hope when it's needed most. Stay with us until the end, because this story holds a meaningful lesson that could inspire us all to make a difference in someone's life. Officer Ben was the kind of man who lived by the book, a disciplined officer who believed in order and had little patience for those who didn't follow the rules. One Thursday afternoon, as the sun cast a warm glow over Jefferson Park, Ben strolled along the gravel path on his usual patrol. The park was peaceful, with children playing and birds chirping near the fountain. But as Ben approached a quiet corner, his sharp eyes fell on a disheveled man sitting alone on a bench. The man, wrapped in a tattered coat, clutched his meager belongings stuffed into a worn duffel bag at his feet. His weathered face told a story of hardship. But to Ben, he was just another rule breaker. Vagrancy wasn't allowed in town. What Ben didn't know was that this encounter would change everything. Ben approached the man with a firm, no-nonsense demeanor, his boots crunching against the gravel path. "Sir," he said, stopping a few feet away, "this is public property. Do you have somewhere to go, or am I going to have to take you in?" His tone was authoritative, following the rules as he always did. The man didn't flinch. Instead, he looked up, revealing a face weathered with age and pain. His eyes, tired and sunken, met Ben's with a quiet strength. "Officer," the man began in a hoarse voice, "I'll leave if you want, but can I say something first?" Ben hesitated, slightly caught off guard. After a moment, he nodded. "You've got 2 minutes." The man shifted, his hands trembling slightly. "My name is Walter Grayson. I served in the Gulf War, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Did 2 tours in each. Gave this country everything I had." He paused, his gaze falling to the ground as his voice softened. "But when I came back, things weren't the same. I couldn't sleep, couldn't stop seeing things. Friends I lost, choices I made." Walter swallowed hard, his words raw and honest. "My wife left, took the kids. I tried to work, but my mind wasn't steady. Eventually, I ended up here." He motioned to the bench, his voice breaking. "This bench is the closest thing I've got to a home." For the first time in years, Ben felt unsure of what to say. Walter's story wasn't one of laziness or defiance. It was one of sacrifice, heartbreak, and loss. As Walter finished, he added quietly, "I don't need your pity, officer. I'm just tired. If locking me up makes your job easier, do it. But if you've got even a little kindness in you, just let me sit here a bit longer." As Ben listened to Walter's raw and heartbreaking story, his mind raced. He had always prided himself on following the rules, seeing everything in black and white. But here, in front of him, was a man who had given everything for his country, only to be left broken and abandoned. Ben felt a knot form in his stomach. The hardened officer who usually viewed vagrants as mere lawbreakers began to see something different in Walter, a man who had once fought for a cause greater than himself, only to lose everything in return. Ben's hardened exterior softened as he looked at Walter, not as a criminal, but as a human being in desperate need of help. For the first time, Ben found himself questioning what justice truly meant. Arresting Walter felt wrong. It wouldn't solve anything. Instead, Ben made a decision that would change both their lives. He would help. "Stay put," Ben said quietly, his voice firm but gentle. "I'll be back in a bit." Ben couldn't shake Walter's words as he made his way back to the precinct. The story, so raw and honest, lingered in his mind, leaving him with a heavy heart. He couldn't simply arrest the man and call it a day, not after everything Walter had shared. Instead, Ben reached for his phone and called the Veterans Hope Alliance, a nonprofit that specialized in helping struggling veterans. He explained Walter's situation to a representative named Carol, detailing Walter's service, the PTSD, the broken family, and how he ended up homeless. "That's tragic," Carol said, her voice full of empathy. "We've seen this too many times. We can definitely help him. Bring him to our center. We'll provide him with food, shelter, counseling, the whole support system." Ben felt a sense of relief wash over him. It was the answer he had been hoping for. After thanking Carol, he hung up the phone, his mind made up. He drove back to Jefferson Park, the weight of the decision lifting from his shoulders with each mile. When he arrived, Walter was still sitting on the same bench, his eyes distant, lost in thought. Ben approached, his steps steady. "Walter," he said softly, "I've got a place for you to go." Walter looked up, his expression wary. "What kind of place?" "Not jail," Ben replied, offering a reassuring smile. "It's a center that helps veterans like you. They'll get you cleaned up, help you sleep better, and even assist you with finding work." Walter hesitated, a mixture of skepticism and hope flickering in his eyes. But after a long moment, he nodded, unsure but willing to trust. Ben gave him a nod of encouragement. "Come on, let's get you there." And with that, they left the park together, driving toward a second chance. Weeks passed, and Walter began his transformation at the Veterans Hope Alliance Center. The first thing that stood out was his appearance. He no longer looked disheveled. His hair was trimmed, his beard neatly groomed, and he wore clean clothes, the signs of someone who was taking care of himself again. The center provided him with counseling, where he faced the trauma he'd carried for years. Slowly but surely, the fog of PTSD began to lift. For the first time in a long while, Walter started to sleep better, no longer haunted by the nightmares that had plagued him for so long. He found hope in the support of the center, and even began taking steps toward rebuilding his life. One day, Ben visited the center, eager to see how Walter was doing. When he walked through the door, Walter greeted him with a genuine smile. The man he saw before him was a far cry from the broken soul on the bench in Jefferson Park. Walter led him outside, where they sat together on a bench, just like the one where their story began. "They've been good to me here, officer," Walter said with a sense of pride in his voice. "I'm doing better. I'm even applying for jobs." Ben could feel a sense of pride and fulfillment swelling in his chest. He had made the right choice. Seeing Walter's progress, he knew that helping him that day wasn't just the right thing to do. It had been life-changing for both of them. As the months went by, Ben and Walter's bond grew stronger. Ben visited the center regularly, sometimes bringing food or just spending time talking with Walter. Their conversations were no longer just about the past. They shared stories about their lives, their struggles, and their hopes for the future. Through these visits, Ben began to see people in a different light. No longer just cases to be processed, he began to view them as individuals with their own stories, each carrying their own burdens. His time with Walter had opened his eyes to the power of compassion, and he started to approach his work with a deeper understanding of the struggles others faced. For Walter, the center became a place of stability. He found work as a maintenance worker, something he hadn't thought possible just months earlier. With each step, he rebuilt his life, finding purpose, regaining his self-worth, and starting to dream again. He even began to reconnect with his children, slowly mending the relationships that had once been torn apart. As his life improved, so did his confidence. And though the road ahead was still long, Walter knew he wasn't walking it alone anymore. Ben had given him a second chance, and it was one that he wasn't going to waste. This story teaches us a powerful lesson: the impact of kindness and second chances. When Ben chose to look beyond the surface and see Walter as a person, not just a vagrant, he helped change the course of his life. Walter's story is a reminder that everyone carries their own struggles, often invisible to the world. Compassion can make a real difference, and sometimes all it takes is one person willing to lend a hand, to listen, and to offer a second chance. So, the next time you come across someone who seems to be struggling, remember that they might be carrying a story you don't know. Just a bit of kindness could be the turning point they need. The power of understanding, the power of a second chance. This is what can truly change lives. Thank you so much for watching this story until the end. I hope it resonated with you and reminded you of the incredible power of kindness and second chances. If you enjoyed the video, please take a moment to like it. It really helps us reach more people with these important messages. Don't forget to share this story with your friends and family. You never know who might need to hear it. And if you want to see more inspiring stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks again for your support, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.